of our Hispanic American team members, but we're also a team member resource group that supports all team members with an emphasis in Hispanic Latino. So if you're a part of any of the other TMRGs, we also invited them as well as everyone, because we want everyone to take part in what it is to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month.
Well, Juan just told me. Do you want to let everybody know?
So today is October 12th, which is the official discovery of America. It's Columbus Day. October 12th, 1492 is when Columbus discovered America, what he thought was America. So he landed in Vizcaya, which is now the Dominican Republic. And today is a national holiday in Spain, and we celebrate the Hispanic Day. And there's also several holidays, several religious holidays, but today is a holiday in many Hispanic countries that celebrate the day of Hispanidad or Hispanic Day.
Awesome. So a lot of reasons to be here today. Very good. So we've been directing you to join the Kahoot game. So we only have 16 players. We give you guys just a little bit to get that, to join that, and that's how we're going to be introducing our panelists that are with us here today. So we'll give you guys just another minute, and then after we go through our game, we'll go ahead and get started with the panel. And what we're going to be playing here is you guys are going to see some fun facts pop up about some of our panelists. Now, you're going to be given the option to select between Juan, Giselle, and Manny to guess which one of those fun facts belongs to which panelist. Once we guess which panelist, we'll go ahead and let them introduce themselves, maybe be brief, the fun fact if that's necessary. So I think we're at 21 players. Does anyone need a last minute? So get again. All right. We'll go ahead and start.
All right.
So, which panelists joined the Navy right after high school? So you guys have little squares on your phones. You'll be able to select who you think. All right, everyone, you have 5 seconds left. All right, so we have 6 people guessing Giselle, 6 people guessing Juan, and 12 people guessing Manny. Because our panelists who started or joined the Navy right after school, please stand.
Hello everybody, I am Giselle Albritton, and yes, I joined the Navy. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, so because I was a U.S. citizen, I was able to join the U.S. Navy, and I served 6 years. And I was a hospitality kind of management in the Navy, so when we had sailors that went on deployment, we were sent up front to make sure the barracks and the berthing, we called it, were set up for the sailors.
All right, so Giselle, if you don't mind, I'm going to read your bio unless you want to introduce yourself. Sure. I'm going to read your bio. Okay, so Giselle Albritton is joining us from Memphis, Tennessee. She is the Director of Hotel Support for the Caribbean and Latin America region. She joined the Navy in 1995, where she served as a military lodging specialist. Upon transitioning to a civilian in 2000, she started working the front desk at a hotel. She has over 26 years of hospitality experience, at one time managing a team of over 25 team members as a general manager of a Homewood Suites. She works with properties both in the U.S. and abroad with a clear understanding of cultural differences. She is passionate about driving performance with hotel leadership, management companies, as well as ownership groups within the CALA region, leveraging her ability to influence behavior. She enjoys taking any opportunity to teach hotels about the power of Hilton and how they can use our tools to be the most successful they can be. She also enjoys the opportunity to partner with new hotels, devising strategy to support them in market for a quick ramp up, all with the focus of driving exceptional results to owners as quickly as possible. When she is not at work, she She loves spending time with her family, traveling to Puerto Rico, the island of enchantment, at least twice a year. She's currently working on her master's degree and will graduate very soon from the University of Alabama. So we'll go to the next question. So, which panelist is a huge Harry Potter fan? Alright, all answers are in. And we have most of the audience guessing one. And then we have a few 8 guessing Manny. Will our Harry Potter fan please stand up?
And for those who voted me for the Navy, very mistaken. I would have not lasted a day. That's Giselle.
Did you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, yeah. Do we have the teams in HRCC also following?
Yes,
Yes.
we do.
So who's recording? You? Okay. Hello to everyone, and hello to everyone that's present and everybody that's digital. I don't know if you're seeing me, but hello. I'm Juan Corvinos. I'm Vice President Development for Caribbean and Latin America for all brands, all types of contracts, and every shenanigan that you can think about. I've been doing this region for 5 years. Before that, I was in Europe and Africa as a manager for development in Europe and Africa. And I started in Hilton about 10 years ago as an intern in Malaysia, believe it or not. So I've been to Asia, I've been to Middle East, I've been to Europe, and I've been to the US and now Latin America. The bio says many things, but I do love Harry Potter. There's a movie coming out. November 16th, if anybody wants to mark their calendars, I'll be in the movie, so I'll pay for the tickets. And I'm very excited to be here and have all of you, either online or present, joining us and getting to know a little bit more about Latin America and Hispanic Latino. We're very excited to be here.
Thank you. Alright, next. Which panelist had grandparents that owned a 70-room hotel in Latin America? Got a few people left. And the results came through with 19 being Manny, 5, 1, and 2, Giselle. Would that panelist please stand up?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm originally from Puerto Rico, and I felt to say hello to everybody that's remote. So hello, thank you for being here. I grew up in Puerto Rico, and I knew I wanted to be in this industry since I was little. My grandparents built a 70-room hotel in San Juan, Puerto Rico, so I was kind of close to this industry, had it in my blood. I knew I wanted to do something either with the travel or hotel industry, so here I am, 40-something years later. 22. According to Juan, 22.
There you go. Alright, so a little trickier than some of you might have expected. So let's go to the next question. Which panelist's first hotel job was a relief night auditor at the Holiday Inn in Oklahoma City? Okay, so our guesses were 6 for Juan and 20 for Manny. Would our former Holiday Inn team member please stand?
Hi everyone, glad to be here. Thank you for having me. Yes, that's actually was my humble beginning in hospitality industry and what changed everything for me. I was in Oklahoma in the university studying for engineering career, and got a summer job as a relief night auditor, and then history was made, and it's many years after, here I am in the hospitality industry. Director of Brand Performance Support for Latin America and Caribbean, now for our mega category of all suites and focus service brands. Been with Hilton for 11 years. Started back in the days with Hilton Garden Inn when we have only 4 hotels in Latin America, and my biggest chunk was Florida. So I have known some of you since then. Glad to see new faces, Marcy. So the journey has been great. I'm now heading a team of 4 in Latin America with close to 90 hotels open in for our category in the region and more to grow. So thank you. Glad to be here.
And thank you, Juan, for that
I do want to read a little part of Manny's bio because I thought it was a very awesome way to explain what he does. So he's very passionate about Hilton growth in the Cala region and sees himself as the captain of a mega category vessel navigating the Cala seas of opportunities, leading a well-prepared, highly capable, and even more passionate crew of shipmates ready to make meaningful connections with owners, MCRs, hotel teams, and internal Hilton partners. I thought that was awesome. So we have a couple more fun facts, and then we'll get to the panel. So next question. Do we need these?
I think online. I'm not sure.
Oh, do we need these for online? We do? Okay. Okay, so which panelist started in Hilton as an HR intern in Malaysia? Well,
If somebody fails, there's no dessert, okay?
alrighty. So we have 2 people as Giselle, 2 as Manny, and 22 as Juan. Thank you for those of you who answered Juan. That is in fact Juan. All right, let's go to our next question. So which panelist has lived in the US, Venezuela, and Costa Rica? And 19 coming through with Manny, 3 Juan, and 3 Giselle.
And that's right.
Yes, Manny. Awesome. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started with the panel. So, and I'm sorry for those of you that are in the room, I will try not to yell. I tend to project my voice. And my questions are gone. Nope. Okay, so our first question would be directed to any one of you, which of you would like to answer. So we've talked a little bit about your career journeys, but if some of you could walk in a little more detail, walk us through your career journey and what do you consider to be the biggest success and what has been your biggest challenge to date? And if you can identify a key turning point that helped you take charge of advancing your own career.
Hello, everybody. This is very loud. I'm Giselle, but I think, joining the Navy from Puerto Rico, where English was not my first language, talking Spanish was at first a challenge. I remember just being there and talking with a heavy accent, so I was very self-conscious about it. So that was hard. When I got out of the Navy, I got out when I was 22 years old, and I started at a front desk of a Holiday Inn, again with my accent, and coming up through the ranks, becoming a general manager for Homewood. That was one of my biggest successes when I was able to be a general manager. And I have to tell you guys that I didn't have a degree. It was all based on the Navy experience. So becoming a GM without a college degree was a big success for me. So I was a GM for about 6 years, and my goal was to train the next person who could be a GM when I left, because I didn't want to be a GM for the rest of the year, or the rest of my time. So when I went to Hilton, this was in 2011, my AGM took my position, and to me that was a huge accomplishment, and I felt very proud of myself because this AGM, it was his first GM position, and I was super proud of him. So that was a big thing for me. I finally completed my degree about 2 years ago online, and that was a huge accomplishment for myself, because working in Hilton, although it gave me a lot of opportunities, I felt for my own sake I had to finish it, not for my own sake, but also for my daughter. My daughter just is about to graduate in December with a hospitality degree, and she's working at a Homewood in Memphis, and she wants to come to Hilton to work. So the fact that I could finish my degree when I was 40 2 years old was a huge accomplishment for me too. That's me.
Thank you.
I think we can summarize career experiences in something that Giselle has said. I had a different upbringing. I had a different background. I went to college. I did law and business, completely unrelated to this. But when I chose which company I was going to work for, I'm a millennial. Disclosure, okay? It's not normal for somebody to be in a company at my age for 10 years. I think HR is still trying to figure out why I'm still here, and it's because I don't want to change my email. But one of the things that attracted me to this company was, first of all, leadership. Having been taken private by Blackstone gave us a more lean, mean attitude towards what we were doing, and we were very centered. But then you find stories like this. I'm going to point to my left to my friend Giselle. Woman, military, mother, and professional at Hilton. Completed her degree at the age of X. Worked at Hilton and has been very successful at Hilton. I think all of the stories that we all have can get summarized within that. This is a company that allowed somebody very young, like me, opportunities that other companies will not allow you to do, right? To take charge, to lead a team, to be successful. And that's what attracted me to Hilton. That was my turning point. I was practicing, I was in a law firm, and I was not happy. I was making people miserable. It was not a happy place. This is a naturally happy place where we care about our customers, we care about the people we work with, and we're in an industry that it is a good industry to come to work for, because we are here to be hospitable. And that's something that we sometimes overlook because of the daily grind that we are all into. But it's something that we should look at. And when you look at examples like Giselle, that's what keeps me motivated. And that was my turning point at which I said, okay, this is where I want to work for. And this is where I see myself in the next 10, 20 years until they walk me away. That is what I wanted to do.
Awesome.
And real quick, just to close, in my case, working for Hilton has been also an important part of my professional life, especially because it's been the company, also hospitality company, where I have been longer tenure with them. I'm going into my 12th year in April. And I have been all over the place, because that's what you do in order to grow in hospitality industry. You need to try new things, you need to put yourself, market yourself. But one of my mentors told me once something that I found out that is very real. Hospitality is a people business. Hospitality is a place where there is no shades of gray. You either love it or hate it. And you find out early in your career in which area you are. Because even when the darkest times, when you feel down and then you want to leave this business, and probably you do. I was in the car rental business for a year. I only lasted a year. I said, what am I doing? I need to go back to hotels. That is what my passion is. So it's it goes on you're passionate about it, goes hand in hand with your being, and then you find out that there is a career ahead of you for many things that can be done.
Yeah. Thank you, Manny. So each one of you has talked a little bit about a transition from a different career path and back into hospitality or to hospitality for the first time. So if you can tell us a little bit more about what it was like to prepare for that career move. We have a lot of younger people in the room, millennials, who are looking at their career path, and it might require some transition. So if you can tell us a little bit about what you did to prepare you for that next step into a different career or a different role.
Well, since I have the microphone, may as well start. In my case, is how you market yourself. Okay, you cannot be sitting as a desk clerk of XYZ hotel waiting for somebody to come and show you where the next step is. You have to have an inquiring mind. You have to have the itch to know more. You have to have the willpower and desire to do things above your pay grade in order to be there. one thing that worked for me was also putting myself on what my next step was. You know, where do I want to be? Well, if when I was a desk clerk, I wanted to be supervisor. Well, what did a supervisor do back in the days? And then I prepared myself for that, and I started to market myself in that direction. And when it came down to getting the position to where I am, which is a director of brand management for the biggest brands, some of the biggest brands in volume that Hilton has, is how you understand your surrounding and how you are prepared for the next step.
So I gotta share, you guys, I am living the dream. I have my dream job. This is everything I've always wanted to do, and it wasn't easy. It didn't come to me that easy. It's being a go-getter. When I got out of the Navy, and the only reason I got out of the Navy was because my husband was also on active duty and we couldn't get stationed together. That's the only reason, because if not, I would have retired in the Navy. So I got out, and when I was at the front desk for 4 months, I applied for a sales manager position. My husband's like, "Oh, you have no experience. You're gonna go get it." And I got that job, and it was, I think, about attitude. It's about wanting it so bad that they're gonna give you the opportunity. Like my colleague said, nobody's gonna give it to you. You have to go prepare yourself. You have to go want it and go after it. I'll give you another example. Prior to my role, my director role that I have now, I was a manager for Advice, Hotel Leader Support Team now. Are you guys familiar with what the Advice team is? So I used to be part of that team, and my dream was to be a director of brand performance support with Homewood, because that was my brand that I came up with. So I interviewed 4 times before I got this role, and I never looked back. I always took it as an opportunity to expand my circle. I took it as an opportunity to learn and prepare myself to the next one. And when this opportunity came, it was for Director of Brand Performance Support, launching Homewood in Latin America. That was me, it was mine, and I'm living the dream. And thank you guys, and I've been able to meet people like Manny and Juan and Nicholas through this opportunity that I have now. I was talking from the heart, sorry.
We all interview for our jobs every day. That's how I see our roles. That's how I see our positions at Hilton every day. And from the millennial point of view, and I'm sorry we get all lumped into a box that is the millennial box or the Gen X or the boomer or whatever box you want to be put into. It's up to you to define what it is that box says. Yes, I was born in between the years of X and Y, and that makes me a millennial, but one of the things that I've had to learn, and believe me, it's not been easy, is we interview every day, and we are known as to not have patience and wanting everything instant gratification like this. We were born with Prime. We were born with all of these things that come so easily to us. It's all about constant work. That is the reality. It's all about being constant, and as they said, you need to be at the next level in order for you to get them to the next level. They're not going to give you an opportunity when you're not ready. They will, but you will need to work harder for that. So it's all about constancy. It's all about patience. It's and I'm preaching to the choir because I sell advice, and for me I have none, right? Like patience, and diligence. Just continue doing. That's my always 2 cents, and that's what I tell my team. And they look at me and they go like, patience, and I go like, yep, it is needed, and it's something that we all need. And we need to understand that this is a big company. But as Giselle said, she interviewed 4 times for the job. Then something else came along, right? But we need to be in constant search. We need to be looking for the next thing. And but at the same time, we also need to be great at our job in order for that opportunity to come through. So that's my 2 cents.
Awesome. So all of you all as leaders, you've had the opportunity to develop teams, whether it's in this particular role or a role in the past. We're here celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, and so we want to kind of drive that conversation about diversity within teams. So what is something that you all are personally doing to try and increase the diversity of your teams or of the Hilton team?
I'll speak to it first. And I'm going to talk about diversity and inclusion. Diversity and inclusion to me is not the color of your skin. It's not the way you are. I think it's a way of being like you fit into a place. So as a global organization, we need to adapt and make sure we're hiring and looking for that talent that can teach us how to do business with other cultures. And I think it's really important. In our team, Manny and I work together. We're a team of 4, and it's a very diverse team. We have one of our managers that we just hired. He's based in Mexico. And the reason we did that strategically is because a lot of our growth is in Mexico. And we have to be able to do business the way it's conducted in Mexico. So that was a great hire, showing the diversity, and we're learning from that hire as well. We have another manager. She's not Latina. She is American, but she's Italian, American Italian, but she speaks Spanish perfect. She speaks Portuguese perfect. Her name is
so
Jessica.
much better than mine, and I grew up. My first language was Spanish.
Yeah, so I'd say it's not the color, the color of your skin, it's the way you feel inside. And she feels like she is part of our team. So it's, to me, that's diversity. To me, that's inclusion. Felt like you're part of a team.
You cannot really be a global company as Hilton is without having diversity as your DNA. Okay, it's part of who we are. Honestly, I'm speaking from my point of view. I don't even think on diversity anymore. I just think on who we are, what we bring, and how can we make our teams better. Because the diversity part will come right along with it. For me, is understanding how to be global, understanding how there are differences on those areas where we want to do business with, and knowing how to get there and do an impact. One of the things that I like to do in order to put my little grain of sand on the pie is the participate with the elevator program that we do for recent graduates from different parts of the world. So you're not familiar with elevator, is something that Hilton Management does mostly out of the Miami office. And they have people that are from the Caribbean, that speaks English, the English Caribbean. They have people that are from Europe. They have people from different Asia and Pacific. So there are people from all different work areas of the world. And then how we work with them on helping them be better professionals for our company going forward tomorrow. So for me, it's the priority is understanding the essence of who we are and how we can be part of that community a little bit better.
Let me point to the big blue elephant in the room. If I change my name to John Smith, and I stood up in a room, they would think I'm from Boston, right? But diversity goes way beyond that. We come in all shapes, colors, and sizes in Hispanic culture, right? Like I am Hispanic. I'm from Spain, and I'm blonde, blue-eyed, and of a medium stature. And it doesn't matter, right? We are going past that. We're going past race, gender, ethnicity, orientation. We're going. Hilton has moved past. I always tell the anecdote that this conversation happens in the U.S. because we are a melting pot, and we have so much diversity, and we've absorbed so much diversity in so little time. When you come to think about it, and I can tell you, in Spain, there's not a table where everybody sits down and pounds their fists and said, "Where are all the Mexicans?" No, it doesn't happen. In India, there's not a conversation that happens where they go like, "Where are all the white people?" It doesn't happen that way. And at Hilton, it doesn't happen that way anymore. And when I look at my team, I have only one American in my team because they're all based outside of the U.S. So when I go about it, I beat my chest and I go like, "We're a very diverse team," but no, we're not a very diverse team. We're a very diverse global company. And that's how I look at it from that perspective. The fact that we have these TMRGs and we have these meetings, it's the commitment from the company to making sure that everybody understands that we are a global company and that we are inclusive and that we want to make this a great place to work for anybody and everyone. That's how I look at it from my point of view in terms of diversity and inclusion.
Awesome, thank you. So continuing that conversation, how can we become better advocates for great talent, whether that be in the U.S., whether that be men or women or any race or ethnicity?
I'll take it. And I want to go back to the elevator program that the office of Miami's doing now. Manny won't say this, but yesterday he did a fantastic call with the elevator program to talk about our brands, our focus service and all-suites brands in Latin America. And there was a lot of questions from them about our brands, something that they want to eventually work with the brand. So it makes hopefully you very proud. One thing that I like to do, I enjoy doing, is when I look at, for example, some of our managers that we have in Memphis, I like to encourage them to get to the next level. I like to have them maybe join my calls, join on a visit with me so they can see what I do, and hopefully they want to do what we do, eventually, because we're not going to be around forever. We want them, I always believe in training your replacement, training that, like I did with my AGM, training that next person who's going to take over. Manny, no offense, but when you leave, I want your job. That's my goal. I want to be the leader of the, and that's what you do, and you do a great job in showing me and teaching me everything with the ownership part. So eventually, hopefully I'll be considered for that. But that to me, it's a good leader. It's training that next person to be the next leader.
No, just pretty much the same as Giselle was saying. Is how you decide to do something about the future, okay? And for me, it's mentoring. I look for different ways to do that. But back in the days when Giselle was in Advice, I was already director of brand performance for Hilton Garden Inn at the time, and we have these conversations, and I keep encouraging her to keep going after her dream, and that the time will come. Is understanding the talent, seeing the talent on the person that is in front of you, and trying to steer that person on the right direction. Sometimes the decision is yours, like in my case, hiring the team that is working for us. But sometimes the decision is somebody else's. But at least you always can do an impact. You can always steer the person, suggest what the next path may be, counsel that person in a way that can take the next step. And it's just understanding what the value that person brings to our company as a whole.
Excellent. Juan, did you want to add something? No?
I want to add something
okay.
here, and this was about 5 years. You might not remember, but I remember the first time I met Juan. I was in the lobby of the Hilton Santa Fe, and I thought I had met him somewhere, and I don't know, Juan, do I know you from somewhere? And he's like, no. And he was, I don't know if you were a manager or director back then, but I knew he was going to grow, and he's a vice president for development, so you see that, and I saw it in you, and so proud of where you are right now with not only Hilton, but with, Hispanics and getting to where you are. So super proud.
Awesome. So we have the great benefit of having some of our team members that are at development and working with our partners in Latin America and the Caribbean. So I want to switch the conversation over to a little bit more about the business and what's happening with Latin America and the Caribbean. So